making buying a new home more affordable in West Omaha. First Alert 6's Taylor Johnson joins us live with how a new project is breaking ground in a way Nebraska has never seen before. Taylor?
Well, Brian, those with Habitat for Humanity say affordable housing isn't easy to find in Elkhorn, and it's why they've built their own. These yellow doors are part of a newer Elkhorn neighborhood.
It's creating an opportunity for home ownership, affordable home ownership, entry-level home ownership in an area that has a real lack of those opportunities.
So Habitat for Humanity teamed up with a local developer to create Capriana. It's a mixed-income neighborhood with about 150 market-rate townhome-like apartments and 11 affordable single-family homes. Leaders say the $43 million project is the first of its kind in Nebraska.
Normally, you would have maybe a higher earner who is the homeowner and maybe somebody who is, workforce who is the renter. And so this flips the script on that.
According to Zillow, the average value of a home in Omaha is around $283,000. But to own a house like one in Capriana,
A family of four making $80,000 or less is who would qualify for a Habitat house.
access is a big driver for the Capriana neighborhood, not just for the price of homes, but other parts of life that are priceless.
It creates a community of inclusion and equity where people, families are thriving together.
Capriana recently won Development of the Year at the Commercial Real Estate Summit. Brewer and Ennis, who we heard from, say they hope their work will show other developers that mixed-income neighborhoods can work. In the studio, Taylor Johnson, First Alert 6.
Breaking